Been a minute since we touched on the whole Rust situation where Alec Baldwin shot and killed the cinematographer. Oh, it was an accident. And, there's a lot of people to blame, and maybe it was the political prosecution. And then one of the Baldwin brothers came out and said, "Oh, the only reason my big brother is getting accused of doing misconduct or engaging in a negligible act is because of his politics." No, because he shot and killed somebody. I think that's why he's trying to be held accountable. And now we have our first lawsuit forged against one of the most crazy motherfuckers on earth. And the details on this are very interesting because apparently the scene that was being shot didn't require the trigger to be pulled or even for a gun to be shot. So that's a little bit disconcerting. Alec Baldwin intentionally fired deadly shot on Rust film set. He killed that woman. Let's just go ahead and say that. He killed her, okay? Can quibble, and that's for the courts to decide, as much as I'm reluctant to give them such deference. Whether or not he's a murderer, we'll see if any criminal charges eventually get filed, but this is according to the Script Supervisor, as she has filed this lawsuit. Alec Baldwin intentionally fired a gun towards cinematographer Halyna Hutchins on the Rust movie set, disregarding set protocol in the deadly shooting, according to the 30-page lawsuit on Wednesday, filed by the film's script supervisor, Mamie Mitchell, who's being represented by Gloria Allred. Suck a dick. But again, this is one of those instances of somebody on the left eating somebody from the left, so I just hope that there's mutually assured destruction on this one. The script supervisor on set when Baldwin shot and killed Hutchins and injured director Joel Souza on October 21st, just about a month on from that. That's impressive. Is suing the actor, the movie production company, and others for the assault, intentional infliction of emotional distress. Oh, my feelings were hurt. She's dead. The director's injured, but my feelings are hurt. And deliberate infliction of harm. Okay, Mitchell and her attorney, Gloria Allred, are set to announce the suit during a press conference, which they've already held at the time of this recording anyways, but whatever. Alec Baldwin intentionally, without just cause or excuse, cocked the firearm and loaded the gun. I'm sorry, she doesn't allege that. And fired a loaded gun, even though the upcoming scene to be filmed did not call for the cocking and firing of the firearm. Interesting. And she's a script supervisor, so she would in fact know what was being filmed. So very, very odd. Very odd detail that's surfacing here. He also said every safety protocol designed to ensure safety with the firearm on set was ignored, such as the presence of live ammunition on set, and that actions that were taken that day were against all industry norms. Interesting. Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, the armorer on the Rust set, is also named as a defendant in the suit. Yeah, and she's also tried to pass the buck on this. At the end of the day, she was the one who prepped the gun for use, allegedly put in what she thought was a blank into the revolver, and then one of the assistant directors was also supposed to check the chamber as well. She's tried to pass off responsibility onto that assistant director, I forget his name anyways, but she's also alleged that it was totally a conspiracy. The only conspiracy there is her inability to do a job, and she was also chased off of a Nicolas Cage set for also giving a loaded firearm to a underaged actor who was on the set. She's really bad at her job, but her father's famous for being a prolific armorer as well, so the incestuous nature of Hollywood once again promulgates itself. In the complaint, Mitchell said Baldwin, being an industry veteran, should have known that a prop master or an armorer is the only person who should hand him a gun. Mitchell said the assistant director should not have handed Baldwin the gun, and that the actor should have known that he could not rely in the assistant director's representation that it was a cold gun. Yeah, he also should have been checking that as well. It's not his first rodeo, as it were. The events that led to the shooting by Mr. Baldwin of a loaded gun constituted intentional acts and or omissions without any just cause or excuse on Alec Baldwin's part and the producers of Rust. The complaint said Mr. Baldwin chose to play Russian roulette with a loaded gun. Oh no, there was no Russian roulette on this one. He didn't spin it. He knew that something was there, and then he pulled the hammer and pulled the trigger. Yeah, without checking it, without having the armorer do so. His behavior and that on the producers of Rust were intentional acts and or omissions. The fact that live ammunition was allowed on the movie set, that guns and ammunition were left unattended, that the gun in question was handed to Mr. Baldwin by the assistant director, who had no business doing so. The fact that safety bulletins were not promulgated or ignored, coupled with the fact that the scene in question did not call for the gun to be fired at all, makes this a case whether injury or death was much more than just a possibility. It was a likely result. Very interesting story you're trying to craft here in the lawsuit. Did you have a hand in that as well? Mitchell is suing for an unspecified amount of loss of future earnings, special and general damages, attorney's fees, and punitive damages. Yeah, again, what else could she be suing for? But again, I made some claims at the beginning here, and we should probably dive into that a little bit further. Yeah, Daniel Baldwin, one of the other Baldwin brothers, like I was saying there, thinks that his brother's only being blamed for the deadly shooting because he's a fucking political nut job. Alec Baldwin's brother Daniel reckons his star siblings bear no responsibility for shooting dead the cinematographer, and is being made a scapegoat because of his staunch political views. It's really apparent that Alec has no blame in this at all. Why? He was the one who pulled the trigger. I know that sounds terrible because a life was lost, he said of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins, but remember, the actor's an idiot. Oh, okay, cool. Alex got the name, though, doesn't he? Baldwin said it is the focus of his brother, who is a producer in a low-budget Western. So let's go ahead and take Alec for his political views and the many wonderful things that he's done. Oh, okay, cool. He's been good other places, but that should somehow justify him killing somebody? Oh, okay, cool. But again, the actor's an idiot, but he's done really good things, and he's popular. There must have been arsenic in the bottles for these Baldwin boys when they were growing up. And let's see if we can sensationalize this and go after Alec, he moaned. That's interesting. Because he's opinionated and he's had he's strong-headed, and he's really staunch views on certain things. Yes, like his ex-wife and his pudgy daughter. And those people who don't like him will take advantage of him and persecute him. Yeah, those darn people, like the court. He's a target, insisting the loyal sibling, the eldest of the 4 Baldwin brothers. Oh, he's the oldest? Whatever. He's a target, right? But let them run with it, because 6 months from now, everybody's going to realize people are gonna go to jail, or they're gonna be sued or whatever, and it won't be him. I'll hold you to it. I don't think anything's really gonna happen to Alec Baldwin anyways. He might just have to pay off some people because, I don't know, he's been making the rounds, and he's also been just trying to pass the buck off, just like old fucking Hannah, whatever, Gutierrez-Reed, claims that, yeah, she was framed. Wasn't my job. The assistant director set me up, right? The attorney for the armor on the set of Rust said that his client is being framed for the tragic death that occurred when Alec Baldwin shot and killed the cinematographer. The lawyer for Hannah Gutierrez-Reed insisted that Wednesday that sabotage and a tampered crime scene were evidence of a framed job of the shooting last month on the New Mexico film set. The statement came a day after Gutierrez-Reed met with the Santa Fe County deputy sheriffs about the double shooting. The cinematographer Halyna Hutchins, yes, and the director Joel Souza were the ones who were shot. We are asking for a full and complete investigation of all the facts, including live rounds themselves, and I can't believe they're still investigating. It's been a month, okay, for fuck's sakes. The lawyer said that the client shared new critical information with local sheriffs, and they await findings from the FBI and prosecutors. Oh, okay, cool. What, does she want immunity from being completely and utterly inept in her job, I guess? We are convinced that this was a sabotage, and Hannah is being framed. Why? She didn't do her job right. She's just being framed by her own mental capacity. We believe that the scene was tampered with as well as before the police arrived. Oh my god, I believe that somebody who would do that would want to sabotage the set, want to prove a point, want to say that they're disgruntled, they're unhappy. Again, all of that could have been avoided by her just looking into the firearm, taking out the cylinder, checking and making sure that there were no live rounds in the gun. How about that? And then also, how about Alec Baldwin know the scene and know that it didn't require any shooting to happen? So again, why was the gun loaded? Why was there live rounds that they were using not too far? At least some of the crew was using that exact handgun for target practice just hours before the killing occurred. Somebody's going to have to be held responsible for this. It should be Gutierrez-Reed here for sure, should be one of the people. But again, at the end of the day, it should also be the assistant director who also checked the gun and handed it off and said, oh, cold gun. And then it should be Alec Baldwin. I don't care what one of his brothers have to say on the situation. He pulled the trigger, okay? I don't know what the script doctor there has to really do with any of that. Oh, I was traumatized by what I seen. Or maybe you're just not very good at your job and can't properly describe what the scene that the actors are supposed to be playing out. I guess, but we'll see where this goes. I hope everybody just ends up going to jail for this one because somebody died. Somebody died and they just keep passing the buck. But with that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.